people say it's lonely at the top, and I believe that's the wrong word. I think it's isolating. You're not doing this by yourself, right? So there's people around you. And so by getting around other people, there's a huge benefit. There's this concept called the Medici Effect. The Medici family, they back in the day in Italy, they brought artists and sculptors and bankers and all put them into one city. And what happened was the Renaissance. And so when you put a bunch of people from a bunch of different expertises and verticals together, what happens is all the sorts of best practices come out. And you can have your own personal renaissance by being put in the room.
Welcome to Metcalf Money Moment, the podcast. Unlock financial clarity and confidence with expert insights to achieve your goals. Hosted by Jeb Graham, Ethan Hutchison, and Eric Wymore. Each episode offers decades of combined expertise in wealth management, retirement planning, and more. Join us for practical strategies to inspire your financial journey. Now your hosts.
Welcome to Metcalf Money Moment, the podcast. My name is Jeb Graham, here with Eric Wymore and Ethan Hutchison. And we have a special guest today, Dan Cooper, who is the CEO of Acumen, which is a peer-to-peer business owner and corporate executive group here in, it's in Kansas City, and it's also, I'll let you speak to it here in a second. And Dan and I happen to be in the same small group in Acumen as well. And so we wanted to talk today, maybe kind of to our business owner clients, corporate executive clients, about value of peer-to-peer groups and kind of how it works, maybe a little bit about Acumen. So Dan, you want to tell us about who you are, what you
do? You bet. So I'm a former business owner. I exited a business in 2012, and when I tried to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up again, I did this consulting thing, and then I lucked into this peer advisory mastermind model. And so Acumen puts 12 to 14 CEOs and owners or executives in a room once a month, executive coaching, and then leadership workshops. So power of the peer. As well as getting into all things in people's lives and business. And this is the most impactful thing I've done in my career.
Yep. I bet. I mean, I definitely can, just being part of it. I'm actually in two kind of peer-to-peer groups like that. And I'll tell you the value that comes out of those. And sometimes it's intangible. It's not always something you can like pinpoint and say, well, because of this happened. But what it does is it at least when you meet once a month, you're like, I'm not the only insane person in the world, or I'm not the only one dealing with this issue or that issue, or trying to figure this out or that out. And so I think there's a huge value in that alone for people, right?
So it's funny is most people don't eat their own cooking. And I finally got to the point where I needed to be served as much as serving. And so I joined a team in our platform because I needed it just as bad as I felt like others did too. So right on. I'm in violent agreement with you, Jeff.
So Dan, when you're sitting down when you're building a group, I would say, what are some characteristics that you're kind of looking for? Is it whoever wants to join, sign up? We'll kind of bring you in and fill a spot. Is there like a criteria you're looking for? What's your ideal mix of professionals?
Yeah, so let's talk about the reality of a business owner or leader. So the first criteria is, do you lead in every room you show up in? I was getting a sports massage the other day, and because I'm old and I need somebody to like grind out all the things, and my thought in my head was, oh my gosh, she is just grinding on me. And the next thought I thought was, and guess what? This is the only room I'm not grinding in. Like someone else is actually doing the work and I'm just hanging out and like being served, if you will. And so I think the first reality is, do I lead everywhere I go? I coach my kids' baseball. I lead every meeting. I'm on the boards and I'm on the things. And so are you at a point where you're like, man, it'd be great to go somewhere where it gets served? Second of all, then is, yes, there's some reads and speeds. So, sit in the owner seat or sit in a key and executive seat where you own a P&L. And you got to be a decider, right? And then there's probably a certain size. We group people by affinity, right? So there's different stages, like kind of that startup, ramp up, and scale up. So and we have people all along the thing from $1 million all the way up to $1 billion and everything in between.
And you have people from the C-suite executive, to your point, to owners as well. Um, so can you talk a little bit about just Acumen? Like obviously there's several different peer-to-peer groups for executives, for owners, like Acumen, versus some of the others. Big thing that stands out to me is there's the faith aspect of Acumen, which, um, so, and all of them kind of have their own thing, right? So, tell us about maybe Acumen.
You bet. So the big challenge when you sit in a seat is, people say it's lonely at the top, and actually, I believe that's the wrong word. I think it's isolating. You're not doing this by yourself, right? So there's people around you, and so you're isolated. And so by getting around other people, there's a huge benefit. Um, and so there's this concept called the Medici Effect. The Medici family, they back in the day in Italy, they brought artists and sculptors and bankers and all put them into one city in Italy, and they just kind of put them together. And what happened was the Renaissance. And so when you put a bunch of people from a bunch of different expertises and verticals together, what happens is all the sorts of best practices come out. And you can have your own personal renaissance by being put in the room, right? So everybody's drinking coffee and putting their worst foot forward. We're trying not to break our hands by patting ourselves in the back. We actually want to stab each other in the front with a little grace and truth.
Yeah.
And so one is you just got to go find your people. So what level are you at and where you're going? Second is then, are you what kind of community are you looking for? One of our uniqueness, we want to do a deep community. And so do you just have 12 or do you have more? And then finally, we wanted to have a value driver. People don't agree on anything now. This divided country that we're in, and so we chose this F word, faith. And so this is not a Bible study. You can get those free for anywhere, but it's hey, let's bring who we are with us and just somewhere on the Jesus journey. It's a big tent, and it's not about ethics. It's about this whole person, because we should also talk about your family and your marriage and your kids and your fitness and your health and all those things. And our faith allows us to do that.
That's cool. So it's kind of a melting pot of topics rather than just sitting there focusing on how do we increase revenue, how do we, be more efficient. You kind of blend a lot of those other things into the conversation.
Yeah, how we would describe that is business focused. People and performance and profit are extremely important.
Sure.
Without profit, why are we here, right?
Yeah.
And yet we're faith infused. And so, what is this infusion into us? So, a recent situation or challenge? So when you're sitting in a team, you throw stuff on the table, and the person was like, "Hey, this is affecting my business, but I have a kid in the basement who has graduated and won't launch, can't launch, and it's affecting my marriage. It's affecting my relationship with my son, and I'm bringing it to work with me. I don't know what to do. Like, there's no playbook for this." And it was fascinating because there was two other people sitting in the team. They're like, "I get where you're at. Here's a process we used." And so someone has gone through every problem that you have, and everything. We're all integrated, right? We try to segment everything out, but we're all integrated. And so it all affects work and life and business. So why don't we throw it all on the table together?
Yep. I will tell you too. So just like thinking back through a couple meetings, another example that, and I would say just for me is there's times there where you'll hear about a problem that someone else is having in their business, and you're kind of trying to help them troubleshoot, but it also makes you really grateful for the business that you're in versus what they're in, and vice versa sometimes, right? Like so, like I remember, one of my first meetings, there was a person in the room that had basically their biggest customer. that got bought out and just stopped paying them, right? The parent company stopped paying them. And it was like they had all this inventory they had sent out, that they owed on, and basically and then they filed bankruptcy, and they just never knew if they were going to actually get paid on it. And so in my seat, I'm like, well, gosh, I'm glad I'm not dealing with inventory and maybe not getting paid and having that. And then probably when the market goes down 30% and we're sweating bullets and, our revenue goes down and we're not doing anything different and our revenue goes down. And I'm talking about that. People are probably like, man, I'm glad I'm not in that business. So it also kind of gives you some gratitude, sometimes for what you're going through relative to other people. And it is interesting. Yeah, I feel like in general, you just learn a lot about business, right? About different businesses, different things people are dealing with, and you can apply it. Typically, you can find some way to apply it, to what you're doing, or get some sort of experience share that can help you, in my opinion.
So people show up and they think, if I could just get one idea a year, this would be worth it. If I could just like one great idea. And then what happens is they learn that everyone's awesome at something. So each vertical has the way they've always been done it. So you get best practices, and usually you start collecting these best practices, and you have to, mix them up a little bit to implement them in your business. And then they didn't know it, but all of a sudden this accountability shows up. And so I said I was going to do this month. And then I show up, and did I do it or not? And that's when real change starts to happen is, this me focus, right? What can I get out of this? And then this we focus. What do we all know that we can share? And then it's this you focus, like, hey, I'm holding you accountable. And then we start doing life together. And so there's this fun progression, and you yo-yo up and down in that. And I think that's the genius that is putting a bunch of people in a room. And then, you accidentally form relationships and become friends. And heaven forbid that highfalutin, isolated people have friends that are competent as they are, but also like are, people too, right?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it sounds like, I mean, you get a bunch of executives in a room and having to create that atmosphere where they can be vulnerable and share with what their deepest, darkest secrets of their business are. Like to, maybe share a little bit of how Acumen and creates that environment, that atmosphere for them to be able to do that. Because I would imagine that would be a major roadblock for a few individuals as they walk into the room for the first time.
Yeah. So usually we come and we put on, we already have the cape on, right? Because we're being superheroes every day. And so when you come in, there's a methodology of how we're going to unpack things. And so some of it is how you set up the day, but really it's that first person who is willing to open the kimono and share a hard challenge. And it's funny, once one person does it, it gives permission to everybody. And so whether that's a personal thing, or it's a business thing, or it's the hardest thing, um, I remember one time somebody showed up, and they had a toxic employee. And this employee had it's been hard, but also in a key spot. And they've been dealing with this person for 6 months. And he just stopped and said, I was so frustrated. Like literally I was in my car and I'm driving home, and like, I'm almost in tears, like trying to figure out what am I going to do? And when somebody says that, you all sit back and you're like, oh, okay. So like this hard exterior, like you showed the reality of the soft side. And all of a sudden you wouldn't believe the amount of stories that came out of like, ooh, and I was in that spot. And all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, we can talk about that. Oh, I got one of those. And so it's amazing. And the faith aspects helps, because there's also a depth that we can peel the onion on. So it's who wants to go first. And so it's our job to put that together.
That's cool. Now, I think Jeb alluded to you're not only just in the Kansas City region, right? Are you in expansion mode and kind of branching out? What does that look like?
Yeah, we are. So I just fired myself in Kansas City, which is our largest region. So, as you grow and you go, you have to put yourself in different seats. We're also in Denver, which has a pretty thriving practice. And our babies, our new places are in St. Louis and then Phoenix, which I don't know if you can tell, but it's all fun places that we want to go to. And so, look out fun cities near you.
There
That's
you
cool.
go. Fired yourself. That's always that's got to be a fun thing to do.
And I'm sure there's a challenge everybody has, right?
Was,
Like,
was it was it harder for the part of you that was firing yourself or the part of you that got fired?
uh, doctor, heal thyself, right? You're sitting in the seat, and when do you realize that, hey, in order, I'm the barrier to growth? Which most of the time the answer is always, right? You can only the ceiling is only as high as the leader, and it's another reason why I jumped in a team is like, ooh, I think I'm actually holding us back, and I need people to challenge my thoughts and things. And so firing myself was part of this growth thing that we were going to go do. And because I needed as much accountability and help coming alongside in our next like phase of the journey as I think everyone else does. So I'm not only a believer, I'm a client, right? Like I'm not only the CEO. I also don't have hair like him, right? If you all remember the old commercials. So
How much similarities, if any, are there between St. Louis and Phoenix and Denver and Kansas City? Same problems nationwide?
okay, so I'm born in St. Louis, so I think I can say this without getting in trouble. Where did you go to high school? And so every city has their own culture. Denver is has a lot more mavericks and lone wolves that are, outdoor adventurous. Kansas City is very, organic and like wants to wave at you while you're out on the walk. So yes, culturally, it's all different. I would tell you though, business owner challenges, executives in business is the same everywhere. So I would say that common theme thread throughout, but culture and network and also verticals that are in cities are different. Some are more manufacturing based, some are more service based. So that part's has been interesting. So we learn a lot.
There you go. Nice. Well, very good. Well, hey, we appreciate you coming on, and I think hopefully clients will get out of this. If you're in that key executive position or business owner and you're going through a time where you feel like you could use some peer-to-peer, I think looking into groups like this are super, super valuable. And I know, I'm in two of them because that's the type of value. I'm also an entrepreneur organization of Kansas City, and I feel like there's a lot of intangible value. So, and it's funny is the value I've gotten out of it was different than what I thought I was going to get out of it. I was like, hey, there's a new network of people that, not saying that I was coming into it to sell something, but it's like, hey, I'm going to be around a bunch of business owners that are ideal clients, and I'm going to get some stuff. And like, as I've gotten into it, the value is way deeper in a lot of ways than what I originally thought it was going to be. And so that's awesome.
Well, and I think you probably feel it. So if you're a client of Metcalf, you probably feel a little bit different because Jeb and team get a little bit of different. They're developing themselves, and which means they can come alongside you in a different way. So, darn Skippy, man, it's good to be alongside you.
Yep. Well, appreciate you coming on, and we'll be seeing you soon. Actually, I'll see you tomorrow.
Right
So,
on. Thanks, gentlemen. Peace.
all right. This is Metcalf Money Moment signing off.
Thanks for tuning in to Metcalf Money Moment, the podcast. We hope today's episode provided valuable insights to help you unlock financial clarity, confidence, and peace of mind. For more expert advice and resources, visit metcalfpartners.com. Until next time, make every money moment count.
Jeb Graham, Ethan Hutchison, and Eric Wymore are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through WCG Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. WCG Wealth Advisors and Metcalf Partners Wealth Management are separate entities from LPL Financial. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision. All performance referenced is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly.